Are the rarer Pokemon the better Pokemon? This is a question I've thought about before, and after trying to find the answer in Pokémon Emerald, it was a lot of fun. So much so that we might as well see what the other generations have in store for us. Which is why I want to try and beat Pokémon HeartGold using the 6 rarest Pokémon in the region. Just quickly, before we get into it, in case you're new to this series, rare in the case of this video means hard to find rather than rare in quantity, so no starters, legendaries, etc. It's Pokémon lines who have incredibly low encounter rates on a single copy of Pokémon HeartGold. We catch them as we have access to them, before seeing if we can take on the champion with whatever group of Pokemon we have available to us. That should cover it. So, future me, just think of a good transition. Now, much like Pokémon Emerald, HeartGold is perfect for this challenge because one of the rarest Pokémon in this game is accessible before beating the first gym, which means that once we find it, that'll be our de facto starter. Of course, I have to choose my makeshift starter until then, and while I'm a Cyndaquil stan at heart, it's really funny to take Totodile in order to have your edgelord Shadow the Hedgehog rival steal a Chikorita. But once we can start catching Pokemon, the game opens up to get our first recruit, and I forgot just how open Johto is, to be honest. Like, there's routes 29 to 32, on top of Route 46, as well as the Dark Cave, the Sprout Tower, and the Ruins of Alph. There's so many possible encounters that you can find at this point, that with everything you can get, surely the rarest Pokemon in this batch has to be a real diamond in the rough. Why is the video zooming towards Dunsparce? No, seriously, there's so many other Pokemon here that are really cool and I really like, and I just prefer if we, I just don't want it to be Dunsparce. Like, it can be literally anything else at this point in the game, please. I just don't want Dunsparce. I beg of you, please. I just wanted Marie. Wow, guys, what a lucky find. It's a Dunsparce, found after just 70 encounters at a 1% encounter rate in the Dark Cave. I'm so excited for this run. Can't you tell? Look how happy I am. I don't even think God abandoned us. Alright, I'll be serious for a second. Having this Pokemon as one of the hardest creatures to find in the Johto games, across 2 regions mind you, feels like a bit of a slap in the face. I have a better chance of getting scurvy than this slug. But without spoiling too much in the Emerald video if you haven't watched it already, there's certainly something charming about an unremarkable Pokemon being a key tenet of your team, and Dunsparce is probably the most charming and unremarkable Pokemon I could think of prior to getting an evolution in Generation 9. So I'm not too disheartened by this being one of the rarest creatures, even if it's not going to set the world on fire. But hey, at least it gets Serene Grace as a potential ability. Alexa, call 111. You know what, whatever, that's somewhat forgivable, because in all honesty, Dunsparce is quite strong in the early game. I don't know why Rage is its only attacking move. Oh wait, no, I'd be mad if I was a Dunsparce. But it takes out its anger in the Sprout Tower without much tribulation. Seriously, if I'm a level 3 Bellsprout, this is the last thing I'd want to see down a dark alley. What also helps Dunsparce 2 is its stats are very good. For, gym number 1. When everything is around 200 to 300 in base stat totals, base 410 with relatively good attack and great HP means that we can kind of clown on everything in Violet City. This all peaks against the Nepo baby Faulkner and his 2 hand-me-down pigeons. I was anticipating Pidgey would sand attack us and we'd be in a miserable cycle of accuracy reduction hell, yet we luck out with it only tackling us. And in a cruel irony, Faulkner's Pidgeotto ended up missing a tackle itself that opened the floor for us to win handily.
I mean, it was a blowout, bro.
I wasn't expecting such a promising start when I learned that this is the Pokemon I'd have to try and navigate early Johto with, yet I was feeling pretty confident that we'd do quite well, so long as we didn't run into a Pokemon that overpowers us, of course. Oh, hey, look, it's a Pokemon that overpowers us. In gym number 2. Yeah, the fun times didn't really last for Dunsparce. By all means, a majority of the overworld in HeartGold is pretty straightforward, so while we fly through the reappearance of Team Rocket, Kurt entering the Hall of Meat, and the conquering of the evil team in the Slowpoke Well, the Azalea Town gym immediately shows the disparity ahead of us. Bug-type Pokemon already reached their full power fairly early on, meaning that when we step up to Bugsy, while he's carrying 2 pretty mediocre Cocoon Pokemon, his Ace Scyther is deadly, made even worse when he uses Focus Energy to fish for critical hits. Admittedly, Dunsparce gave a valiant effort on our first attempt, and the rage of being tackled by a Metapod fueled the power of our attacks to make me think there was a glimmer of hope. Alas, I forgot Scyther had Quick Attack. So, the good times don't last forever. They last for like 12 minutes? Though it isn't all in vain, as not only is the TM for Rock Tomb in Union Cave, at level 17, Dunsparce learns the greatest move it could possibly learn, Rollout. This is a pretty perfect answer to Bugs already, and it synergizes with Defense Curl, another move Dunsparce knows, to become doubly as powerful on every turn. And I think I put it pretty well at the time of the rematch.
Now that's good damage. Ooh, what happened there? Oh my god, Bugsy just threw so badly. That's incredibly good. And a crit as well. To technically beat 3 Pokemon in 2 moves. You gotta give Dunsparce something for that. That was an astonishingly good win for us. Just absolutely bowled over Bugsy and his trio with our single snake. It was such a dominant win, in fact, that I might have gotten a little cocky when we were confronted by our threatening rival, Keith. Why did I call him Keith? Oh no. I can't get out. No. My defense go, PP. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, fuck. That's actually so bad. Oh, no. Okay, outspeed, outspeed. And kill. Uh-oh. Oh, Quilton. Yeah, I think I deserve that. Frustratingly, that wasn't the last time we'd lose to our rival too. If Ghastly decides to curse us, the battle is pretty much over. I imagine there's some realities where that wouldn't be the case, as we can quickly knock it and Zubat out with Rollout, but my arrogance of giving our rival Chikorita actually comes back to bite me because his newly evolved Bayleaf knows Reflect. Eventually we do make it past him, but I think that today we've all learnt 2 valuable lessons. Number 1, Dunsparce is quite volatile, and more importantly, number 2, I'm an idiot. Nevertheless, we can now move forward towards Goldenrod City, which is home to so many great things. The department store, the gambling, the radio tower, the gambling, the bike shop, and, of course, our newest teammate. After a bit of gambling. Route 35 is home to another 1% encounter in Johto, which, spoiler alert, is the same encounter rate for every Pokemon we find in the grass. We'd gotten pretty lucky with Dunsparce, so I knew whatever was evading us here may not be as gracious, and I was correct. 210 encounters was the magic number for teammate number 2, which is a number so high I genuinely thought I was doing something wrong, to the point that I legitimately time traveled on my very real DS's clock to go into the morning, thinking that this guy wasn't a nighttime encounter. And which Pokemon was it that forced our hand at channeling Dialga? This little cutie. Much like Dunsparce, there is a very valid 2-side argument to Yanma. On one hand, if this was in Pokemon Gold, Silver or Crystal, you would be tried at The Hague for this chicanery. An incredibly charming bug flying type, yet one with inoffensive stats that doesn't evolve nor learn any bug or flying type moves. Disgusting. On the other hand, we're in Gen 4, so not only has the franchise become much more refined, but this generation specifically paves the way for an absolute GOAT. And I'm so glad this is our team, no matter how scuffed it might look. Also, while my encounter odds were pretty bad there, I think the game gave me an absurd counterweight to pay me back. Wait, what? Sorry, my brain just... Bro. That is crazy. That is insane. Almost as insane as this cameo that I've paid for. Hey everyone, it's me, Ash Ketchum, not Ash Ketamine, or Crack Ketchum as some people called me in the last video. It's very hurtful because I've been sober for 3 years from methamphetamines, but that's besides the point. Because you know what I hate more than drugs? The people who aren't subscribed to my best friend Luca. Goodness gracious, it irritates me so badly. So make sure to like and subscribe. And if you don't, I will eat Pikachu. Ah, thanks for that, buddy old pal. Anyway, next up is Whitney. And yeah, we're in hell. In amongst all the hype of getting Yanma and the cameos I paid for with real money, I may have realised rather late that I over-leveled Dunsparce past Whitney and her Miltank. Which, in a word, bollocks. I wanted to stick to keeping this video pretty challenging through level caps, no battle items, set mode, what have you. But the experience curve in Johto is already so scuffed for most of the game that it threw me through a loop. Believe me, I tried to beat Whitney with Yanma without over-leveling. Perhaps it's possible, and if you can prove to me that you did it yourself, I will give you a channel membership to the Luca YouTube channel, which is worth its weight in Trump coin. All my attempts ever amounted to, though, were rollouts and disappointment. So after licking my wounds wounds and doing some healthy gambling, I decided to just say screw the rules. We might be bringing in an over-level Dunsparce to this fight, but look at what we have available. It's amazing I got out of bed this morning. Doing this is a bit cheap, yet it allows us to deliver some delicious vindication to the third gym leader, as after being run over repeatedly by Miltank, Dunsparce stepped up. It kept Clefairy at bay, bulked up with Defense Curl, then built such steam with Rollout that the instant Miltank entered the field, it was vanquished on the same turn. We steamrolled some stake, and now we can move on with our adventure. But just one more flip, bro. It's got to be this one. Defeating Whitney was not only cathartic for us, it also massively expands our available team with 2 more encounters, which is going to be pretty useful with the major fights now starting to increase in power and size. The first of which is in the dingy and cavernous location of Mount Mortar, where we hunted for a painful 191 encounters. What took me by surprise though was the Pokemon we got. Full credit to you if you knew what this was, because hidden away in the darkness past the bats, rats, rocks, and whatever Machop is, you get Marl. This actually astonished me quite a bit, not only for this cutesy blue basketball to be found solely in a Johto cave, but also because it's Marl. In fairness, I looked up its encounter rates in other games, where it's admittedly equally rare across most locations. But this is the most mascotty looking Pokemon from Gen 2, and yet it got punted away to barely be found. Much like Yanma, if this was in the original games, it would suck. But with the introduction of abilities, huge power makes this guy a beast. Is this what it feels like to be circumcised? Well, we're 0 for 2 on good abilities this run, so hopefully we can rectify that with teammate number 4, who's just gallivanting in the fields of Route 38, home to such amazing encounters like Magnemite, Miltank, and Tauros. Now, it would be a funny subversion if it was actually one of these 3 Pokemon, wouldn't it? Oh my word, you'd be so trolled right now. Anyway, so we eventually find a Snubbull. Yeah, I don't have a crazy amount to say here either. I think I like Snubbull. It's quite cute. The fairy type it gained in Gen 6 gave it something more to do. And we found this little guy in just 12 encounters. At 1%, that's amazing numbers. It's pretty similar to our encounter pool too, by being a Pokemon I've barely used that's native to Johto. And at least we can intimidate our opponents left and right with the best ability in the game. It doesn't have it, does it? Right, okay, Dunsparce without Serene Grace, whatever. Dude doesn't need it, he's basically Pete Weber in this run. Marl without huge power, actually awful considering its adamant nature too, yet I'm sure we'll have a defensive role for this guy somewhere. Snubbull without Intimidate? You've lost me. We need everything we can get at this point, so I hunted for Snubbull again. Mercifully, it seems whatever deity is in Johto took pity on me, as another 59 encounters later, we'd got our intimidating Snubbull on the second try. Look at this crazy bastard. Clearly way more intimidating than our previous catch. So see you later, Snubbull number 1. We now have our mid-game team. What's beneficial in all of this is that both these guys have an early evolution too, so that means we can immediately get upgrades in our offense and defense. Azumarill isn't anything special, stat-wise, but Granbull has 120 base attack. This dude is as strong as Arceus. This is our new god now, and it's this god that'll help us through Aquatic City's major battles. Keith the Edgelord now can't just bully our Dunsparce with his trio, as the 3 new recruits put in good work to handle his team. And though Morty seems pretty scary with his barbershop quartet of ghosts, we're in a pretty great spot. By leading with our Yanma, we bait his lead Ghastly into going for Curse, before immediately U-turning out and bringing in Dunsparce to roll out for the KO. His first Haunter cuts our momentum by putting us to sleep, yet switching between Yanma and having Substitute lets us stall it out of possible attacks before we eventually have it take itself out due to only having Curse left. And his ace Gengar, who might seem threatening, can only hit Granbull with Sucker Punch and Hypnosis, so hitting it with Charm to lower its attack completely neuters it, before 2 bites beat the big bad. Maybe it was a bit of a long-winded way to win the fight, but there's something really cool about winning with such a ragtag group so dominantly. This would also be the case for the entire rest of HeartGold's mid-game. Like, I could go about it in great detail, but it always felt like gyms 5 through 7 in Johto were kind of just crammed together, adding on the fact that there's the Team Rocket hideout subplot, which throws you a deluge of low-level grunts. There's no point wasting too much time on these parts. One noteworthy thing that happened was, by using Yanma predominantly against the evil team, we eventually got it to level 33, where it evolved into Yanmega. Honestly, truly, one of my absolute favourite Pokemon, and I'm so glad we get to use it in this run. The other point of interest is in Olivine City, as we obtained the Good Rod, which is necessary for our last 2 encounters. The first of which requires us to backtrack to Route 35, where, at the crazy high encounter rate of 2%, we have the chance of finding ourselves a Quillfish.
Quillfish. Aficionados of the Pokemon games often describe them as the Dunsparce of the sea. It's a fairly forgettable Pokemon, all things considered, and that slightly pains me, as I, for whatever reason, have always liked Quillfish. Sure, it's massively overshadowed by Tentacruel, who I also love, but its stats are pretty decent, and it made itself useful in the fight against Chuck. It feels weird to lead with Grand Ball in the fighting type gym of all things, but we do great damage with Headbutt, while Charm is an amazing status move against physical attackers. Then once Primeape is taken care of, Quillfish's Poison Point makes for a great debut against Poliwrath, eventually taking it down with a critical hit revenge thanks in part to the poison damage. Price was quite easy too. I tried to let Dunsparce do what Dunsparce does best, but alas, we just lost out on a cold turkey with rollout missing Price's Dugong, so we only bowled over 2 of his team. Thankfully, Azumarill knows rollout too, so scoring a spare will do just fine. And Jasmine wasn't much of a hassle either, thanks to teaching Dig to Grand Ball and surfing over her Steelix with Quillfish. As for the Rocket storyline, I've assembled a quick highlight reel of key moments in this portion, so you don't miss anything that's important to this part of the game.
I'm going to kill myself.
So we saved the day, which now lets us head east of Mahogany Town towards the final gym of Johto, which is also perfect as Route 44 is the location for our final team member from Johto. Likewise to Quillfish, it's a 2% encounter with the Good Rod, and also like Quillfish, I think most people forget about Remoraid too. It's quite impressive to make a gun-shaped fish one of your lesser remembered Pokemon in your games, especially with it confusingly evolving into an octopus, but I, like the rest of this team, really like Octillery. It's slow, but it's powerful, with a massive move pool that can hopefully fill in the cracks for any weaknesses in the team. And now that we had a full team of 6, I was feeling ever so confident by the time we reached Blackthorn City, home of the final gym leader. Though Claire's far and away the most challenging gym leader since the early game, we've actually got a great strategy this time. Gambling. This time though, it's actually useful, as we can pick up the TM for Ice Beam at the Goldenrod Game Corner, so even though we have a team that doesn't seem that well equipped to handle some of the toughest Pokemon in the region, I had confidence we could pull it together. I was wrong. Despite the numbers being in our favour, our team were just outmatched at every point against Claire. Yanmega couldn't get ahead against Gyarados, our plans for rollout were intercepted handily, and Kingdra just did so much damage to our team, even though I like my squad a lot. It's clear we'd need to be looking at the rest of this game with a bit more of a strategy if we wanted to even get to the end, let alone thinking about beating the champion. So, let's do this one more time. In our rematch, we'd leveled our team up to Claire's Ace, which made things go a lot more reliably. Leading with Quillfish, its newly learned Toxic Spikes sets the field in our favour, though unfortunately it means it goes down without doing much damage. Luck does swing back in our momentum, however, as our Yanmega's Ancient Power gets an Omni Boost immediately, so we finish up Claire's lead the next turn. Frustratingly, her Dragonair has Shed Skin to alleviate the poison damage, yet Yanmega's power, as well as a simple headbutt from Dunsparce, gets us halfway through the fight. Her Kingdra isn't afforded such a luxury, fortunately, as the combination of Azumarill's bulk and poison from Quillfish's spikes accruing damage over time means we can handle her ace comfortably. Lastly, her second Dragonair is far easier to vanquish, as we'd kept Octillery safe this whole battle, letting it fire off an Ice Beam to finish the fight handily. We had now gotten 8 gym badges with the rarest Pokemon in the region. And you know what I'm thinking after all of that? I'm terrified. The game has 4 difficult fights ahead of us, crescendoing with another Dragon Specialist who is even more powerful. And we have a Dunsparce. Our position is so bad that I lost to the Kimono Girl Gauntlet, everyone's favourite characters in this whole video. And even after beating them, I thought I could give our Dunsparce a bit of a warm-up before the league by taking on Ho-Oh, but somehow it loses to it? I just don't know how we can come back from that. The rest of this game wasn't going to let up at all, so I know that we couldn't either. And my solution to that was to gamble. Sorry, I meant to say EV training. Grinding against low-level encounters to maximize our stats as best as we could is what I hope would be a difference maker for our squad by maximizing their strengths, whether that be their offense, speed, or defense. And we got a taste of how effective this training was by the time we made it to the end of Victory Road. Our rival confronted us for one last battle, but we destroyed his team so badly that he opted to end the fight on his own terms by self-destructing his Haunter. I made the computer feel regret, and if that doesn't galvanize you and your team to feel like world beaters, I don't know what else would, as no matter how eclectic this team might seem, ahead of us is the Elite Four and Champion, and I wanted to believe that we could do this. Will leads the Elite Four, and unfortunately for him, we have an absolute demon in Yanmega, who could probably solo this fight by itself, but combined with Octillery and its newly learned Signal Beam, and it just wasn't close at all. We destroyed the Psychic type specialist in no time.
Hey Will, that battle must have really bugged you. Future me, please cut that out.
The same could be said for Koga too. He has a mix of bug and poison to irritate the player, yet he never accounted for our Octopus being able to breathe fire inexplicably. The siren started to sound when Muck hit the field, yet despite it being Muck Monday, Koga didn't account for it being the month of October, although Crobat did want to make life miserable.
Okay. I'm a creature of hate. This won't kill, will it? Oh, unless it crits. That's appreciated.
Venomoth didn't put up much resistance either, so it only took 2 Pokemon to take down half of the Elite Four. We'd need a wider representation of the rest of our squad for the next 2, however, as Bruno has answers to a lot of our team, but our Pufferfish can set the scene nicely. His Hitmontop only threatens us with Dig and Counter, so after setting up 2 Toxic Spikes, we can bring in Yanmega to completely avoid the ground-type move. This tempts Bruno to switch out to Machamp, and now lets our Poison's Trap take hold of his team. It's a slow but steady affair of stalling with Detect, but we eventually run the clock on his entire team, thanks to some clever plays and team switching. The same is necessary for Karen too, who's just the worst trainer of all time if we're being completely real. An evasion-boosting, confusion-inflicting Umbreon as her lead is greatly irritating, though mercifully, she decides to switch into her Houndoom for some reason, which undoes all of her setup and lets us trade one of our fish to take down her Demon Dog. Then with her Vileplume in play, I take the opportunity to once again spike up the field before Granbull crushes it with a headbutt, leaving the rest of her team to Yanmega. It wipes out Gengar with Shadow Ball, crushes Murkrow with Ancient Power, and buries Umbreon with a U-turn. We'd manhandled the Elite Four completely with our Misfits, and though we had a terrifying prospect ahead of us, taking this team as far as it did is truly something to behold. But now it's time to see if we could take these 6 to the peak of this game by taking on the Dragon Master, Lance. And I think it's better to just leave it to my live commentary.
Okay. We've led with Granbull. Good switch. Good switch. I'm going to go with Rollout. I don't know how many Dragon Pulses we'll be able to take. Maybe 4 if we're lucky. Oh, okay, that was a crit to be fair. Oh, that's a really bad start. So this should do about 30. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. We just need to live 1 more. Come on. Come on, hit. Nice, nice. Oh, good start. Right, this must be the Thunder Dragonite. What do I do with you? Right, definitely outspeed. I'm hoping that 1 Thunder misses.
Oh, is that a crit? Oh, that's really good. Oh my god, that's even better. Okay, no, this is going swimmingly. Yeah, that's expected. Kill, don't 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 kill. Oh, okay. Okay. Admittedly, I have a plan for Aerodactyl. I don't want to kill it. Seems counterintuitive, but I do not want to kill Aerodactyl. This has the potential to go really stupid. Like, so unbelievably stupid. But I like the plan. Okay.
Come on, don't flinch, don't flinch. Nice, nice, nice.
Flinch is fine. Flinch is fine. +6. Okay. No crit. Please don't crit now. That would be so upsetting. Nice. Right. I don't know how far this is gonna go, but let's just see. Don't kill on this turn. Nice. Nice. That's 2. Okay, it's the one that knows Blizzard. Oh, you rat bastard. Come on, Dunsparce. Come on. Oh, okay, this is a turn 3 rollout. No. Does heal, come on, come on. Please don't get paralyzed. Please don't get paralyzed. Please don't get paralyzed. Yeah. Yes. This is really dumb. This is really dumb. I'm praying, please. Yep, here's the 3rd Dragonite. No para, no miss. No para, no miss. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. That's so perfect. This is a beautiful champions fight. Okay. Ah, oh, no paraflinch. No Dunsparce. Oh my god. No. Hey, 07s for Dunsparce for that valiant effort. I mean, it doesn't get the glory of the win, but Dunsparce absolutely paved the way for this to happen. Because with just one last turn, son of a bitch, and with just one final turn, we are the champions of Johto. And I wouldn't have had that fight happen any other way. That was legitimately one of my favourite Pokemon battles I've ever played. The perfect mix of dumb brilliance that pairs so well with this team, and there's no better way to end this video. So be sure to like and subscribe, and take care, because there's definitely no other battles in this game. Oh, right. Yeah, so I had a lot of people who wanted me to face off against Steven in Emerald, so there's no chance this HeartGold video ends here. It has to end at red. To get there, first, we need to be all 8 gym leaders in Kanto. And while I could make a song and dance about each fight, there's no real point. We have answers to every leader, especially against teams that have less than 5 Pokemon, so I was never concerned about these ones. Even further, I didn't find blue that hard either. Our team had answers across the board, with new amazing moves like Bug Buzz on Yanma and Destiny Bond on Quillfish to absolutely overpower the former Kanto champion. The only other thing of note is to address the criticism. I'm sorry. I'm a liar. It turns out that there's actually 7 rare Pokemon in HeartGold, 6 of which you find in Johto, and the 7th, tied with the other 1% encounters, is only found in routes 13 through 15. So technically, Octillery and Quillfish tie for 6th, while Chansey is as rare as the other 4. And it's a pretty great Pokemon. Busted, even. You could run Roughshod over any special attackers with just them. But when looking at these 7, and thinking about the question at the start of this video, sure, this team isn't perfect. A great rare Pokemon in Chansey, and an awesome one in Yanma notwithstanding, this is a pretty average to mediocre team. But goddamn, if wiping half of Lance's team with a Dunsparce doesn't endear you to them, I don't know what would. So while Chansey is a cool catch to add to our team, it can stay on the sidelines. I'm taking these 6 to the top of Mount Silver, and we're going to try and beat Red with them. His lead Pikachu is absurdly strong with its Light Ball, bringing Granbull to a slither with a single Thunderbolt, but mercifully, our Bulldog holds the line to retaliate in kind with Earthquake to give us the lead. With Blastoise entering second, we hard pivot into Azumarill to easily tank a Blizzard, thanks to its Thick Fat ability. And considering Blastoise goes with Focus Blast now, I have a strategy to eventually topple it.
By stalling it out for a few turns, pivoting back and forth between Azumarill and Yanmega, letting Hail chip away continuously at the big man, a Giga Drain from our Dragonfly eventually picks up the pieces, putting us in a strong position. Next is Charizard though, and while a Deathless run would have been great, Azumarill needs to go down here for our team to keep tempo. It's a valiant sacrifice thankfully, as Qwilfish can come in on the switch, hit big with Waterfall, then get a flinch to keep it perfect. Fourth is Lapras, and we don't really have an answer for it, so I tried to see what we can do with Octillery. And what Octillery can do is clutch up massively with a flamethrower that gets the burn. It's literally down to the wire, but the status damage Octillery put in is enough to have both Pokemon faint on the same turn. Fifth is Venusaur, who we just play super safe with by letting Qwilfish take it down with Destiny Bond, leaving Red with his last Pokemon, Snorlax. It's 1 versus 3, and I had a vision in mind for how this run needs to end, which involves a Charm from Granbull and chip damage from Yanmega. 1v1.
Come on. Okay. One moment. Come on. Not now. Come on. Can tank this. Oh, and this means it's in recoil as well. If we... Yep. Okay, come on. Come on. Dunsparce. This is your moment, buddy. Come on. Yes! Oh. What a poetic ending to this run.